I'm a huge fan of fasting. I have done intermittent fasting of 16 hours of fasting and 8 hours of eating for quite some time, and not that long ago I did 3 days of dry fasting and then 7 days of dry fasting. I have a short vlog about that. One day I casually recommended my girlfriend to try out fasting and was quite shocked by her reaction. She heard that fasting can cause problems for a woman, so she won't do it. My first reaction was, how can it be bad? There are all these benefits that multiple studies have shown. But then I tried googling, and lo and behold, there are tons of articles written about the problems that fasting could cause for women. Some of the problems, not going to lie, are quite funny. Hunger. Like, yeah, you are fasting, you will be hungry at times. Mood swings. Well, a lot of men can attest to that their girlfriends are unbearable when hungry. Lack of concentration. If you are intermittent fasting, then there are times when you get hungry, and that feeling makes it hard to concentrate. Though the opposite is true if you fast for longer than a day, then your focus and concentration improve. Reduced energy. Nothing surprising here as well. Your energy might not be as high for many different reasons, but with time you adapt to it. Headaches. This is quite a serious one. I personally have experienced that, but it was at times when I was eating extremely poorly. So headaches could be an indication of some other problem. Bad breath or keto breath is a very common symptom of fasting as you get into ketosis. Your body starts burning ketones for fuel, and those ketones have this acetone-like smell, which is quite awful. For some people it goes away, for some it doesn't. But it's not some medical issue. Worsened blood sugar control. This was a surprising side effect to find, as intermittent fasting generally helps with blood sugar control, as you are giving a rest to your body from eating. But a study showed that in women it actually worsened blood sugar control, while in men it improved. Now, I do have a few critiques of the study. They were doing alternating day intermittent fasting, which is quite an extreme version of intermittent fasting, as to not cut the calories, you need to eat double your usual amount, which isn't easy to do. They were not controlling what people eat, so it's very likely that women in this study ate a poor diet. Lastly, the study is rather small. It only had 16 participants, 8 men and 8 women. I would like to see a bigger study made precisely for blood sugar control and with a strict diet plan to draw firm conclusions. But the big elephant in the room that I read about is changes in menstrual cycles. When you hear this as a woman, you would think twice before fasting. But let's dig into where this idea comes from. There are 2 studies in particular that talk about it. Sex-dependent metabolic, neuroendocrine and cognitive responses to dietary energy restriction and excess, and intermittent fasting dietary restriction regimen negatively influences reproduction in young rats. Let's dig into them. Firstly, they are both made with rats, which doesn't let us make any firm conclusions. If it was a human study, it would be a whole different thing. Next, a huge problem that I see that in both of these studies, the rats were doing extreme fasting. In the first study, their calories were cut by 40%, and in the paper, such drastic caloric restriction is actually compared to anorexia rather than intermittent fasting, and it is known that women with anorexia stop having periods. In the second study, the rats were doing intermittent fasting when they eat every other day. Now, this isn't directly comparable to a human fasting every other day, as rats can't survive without food as long as humans. We can only guess, but it could be comparable to fasting for 2 to 3 days for a human. This is again extreme, as well as the fact that the rats in this study just as well consumed 40% fewer calories. So all in all, the studies have been made with rats, and extreme forms of fasting have been used, which doesn't make me too concerned that this would happen for a woman on a basic intermittent fasting protocol. The goal of intermittent fasting isn't even to be at a caloric deficit. What you are aiming for is to consume your calories in a specific time window throughout the day and try to maximize the time that you are in autophagy that provides all the health benefits, and to also preferably go into ketosis, which has all kinds of other health benefits like lowering your insulin and thus helping lose weight. Now, prolonged fasting, when you fast for 24 or up to 164 hours, is aimed at healing diseases, a regeneration of stem cells, and overall rejuvenating your body. Such long fasts aren't recommended more than once or twice a year. So there doesn't seem to be any concrete evidence that fasting is bad for women. If you are just getting started with fasting, take your time and don't rush into long fasts as if it's nothing. Listen to your body, look how it reacts, and if you feel that something isn't right during a fast, just break the fast. You aren't in a lab experiment, you know.